You think you know what it means to control your emotions. You have been told to breathe deeply, to count to 10, to manage your feelings like a clerk organizing files. This is not control. This is suppression wearing the mask of wisdom. The samurai understood something your modern teachers have forgotten. Emotions are not meant to be managed. They are meant to be forged. Seishin-Tanren, spirit forging. The term itself carries the weight of steel and fire. In the feudal domains of 16th century Japan, this was not a meditation technique sold in weekend seminars. It was the difference between a warrior who held his ground when death screamed toward him and one who broke. The kanji characters tell you everything. Seishin, the spirit or mind heart, and Tanren, the repeated hammering and heating of metal until impurities burn away and only strength remains. The practice emerged from necessity. During the Sengoku period from 1467 to 1568, Japan tore itself apart. Warlords clashed across provinces, battles could erupt without warning. A samurai might wake to tend his garden and sleep that night bleeding in a rice field. In this crucible, the warrior class developed Seishin-Tanren not as philosophy but as survival technology. Yamamoto Tsunetomo, the 18th century samurai who authored Hagakure, wrote that a warrior must forge his spirit daily or it grows soft like iron left in rain. He was not speaking metaphorically. The method borrows directly from sword-making. A Japanese blade undergoes folding, heating, hammering, folding again, sometimes thousands of times. Each cycle burns out weakness, compresses strength, creates layers of resilience. The sword becomes harder without becoming brittle. This is what Seishin-Tanren does to your spirit. You do not avoid the fire, you return to it deliberately, repeatedly, until the heat that once destroyed you now refines you. Takuan Soho, the Zen monk who advised Shogun Tokugawa Iemitsu in the early 1600s, described the forged mind as fudoshin, the immovable mind. Not immovable because it is rigid, but because it has been tempered so thoroughly that external pressure cannot deform it. When fear rises, the forged spirit does not collapse inward. When rage ignites, it does not explode outward. The emotion passes through like wind through a temple gate, acknowledged, felt, and released without attachment. This is not emotional numbness. The samurai did not seek to become stone, they sought to become steel. Steel feels the hammer but does not shatter. It absorbs impact and springs back to form. Miyamoto Musashi, who fought over 60 duels and never lost, wrote in Go-Rin no Sho that the warrior must know both the long and short rhythms of combat. He must feel the opponent's intention before the blade moves. This requires emotional sensitivity so acute it borders on precognition. But sensitivity without forge work is vulnerability. The untempered warrior feels everything and is ruled by it. The forged warrior feels everything and is ruled by nothing. The training halls of old Japan, the dojo, were called places of enlightenment, but they were also places of deliberate suffering. Students knelt in seiza position until their legs screamed. They held bakken wooden swords extended until muscles trembled and failed. They meditated in winter without heat, trained in summer without shade. These were not punishments. They were the forge. Each discomfort was a hammer blow. Each moment of wanting to quit was impurity rising to the surface where it could be burned away. You inherit this lineage whether you know it or not. Every time you face discomfort and choose to remain, you participate in Seishin-Tanren. Every time you feel fear and step forward anyway, you fold the steel of your spirit one more time. The question is whether you do this unconsciously, haphazardly, letting life hammer you without purpose, or whether you seize the tongs and place yourself in the fire with intention. The samurai chose intention. They built the forge. They controlled the heat. They determined how many times the metal would fold. This is what separates the warrior from the victim. Both experience the fire. Only one commands it. The samurai identified three fires that forge or destroy a man: pain, fear, and desire. Not anger, not sadness, not the 100 shallow emotions your culture obsesses over. Those are symptoms. These three are the root flames. Master them and you master yourself. Fail and you become their fuel. Pain arrives first. Physical pain, yes, but more crucially the pain of ego death, of failure, of watching what you built crumble. In 1577, Uesugi Kenshin, the dragon of Echigo, lost his most trusted general in battle. He could have let grief paralyze his command. Instead, he spent 3 days in isolated meditation, then emerged to rally his forces to victory at Todorigawa. He transformed the pain into a whetstone. The samurai understood that pain is information, your body or spirit signaling that something requires attention. Weakness revealed is weakness that can be eliminated. They welcomed pain as a teacher, not an enemy. When training under Yamaoka Teshu in the 1800s, students were struck repeatedly with bamboo swords. The instruction was simple: feel the pain fully, let it move through you like water through a channel, then strike back with clarity. The moment you flinch from pain, you give it authority over you. Fear burns hotter. It is the fire that stops men from crossing thresholds they must cross. The samurai did not pretend fear did not exist. Tsunetomo wrote explicitly that every warrior feels fear before battle, but the forged warrior moves while afraid, whereas the unforged warrior is moved by his fear. There is a story of Takeda Shingen, one of the most feared daimyo of the Sengoku period, who would sit alone the night before major engagements. His attendants believed he meditated. Years later, a surviving retainer revealed that Shingen trembled visibly during these hours. He was not suppressing fear. He was sitting with it, letting it burn through him completely so that when dawn came and he mounted his horse, the fear had nothing left to consume. This is the secret. Fear fed in private loses its power in public. Fear denied in private controls you when it matters most. Desire is the subtlest fire, the one that burns slowest and longest. The samurai recognized that unchecked desire makes you predictable. An enemy who knows what you want owns you. In 1560, Imagawa Yoshimoto marched toward Kyoto with 25,000 men, dreaming of controlling the capital. Oda Nobunaga, with only 3,000 soldiers, understood that desire. He let Yoshimoto's army relax in a narrow gorge during a rainstorm, then struck in a surprise attack that killed the overconfident general and shattered his forces. Yoshimoto's desire for glory blinded him to danger. The forged warrior desires outcomes but does not attach his spirit to them. He acts with full commitment yet remains internally free. This is what Musashi meant when he wrote about having no attachment to outcomes. Not that you do not care, but that your identity does not depend on victory. When your spirit is not chained to specific results, you cannot be manipulated through hope or crushed by disappointment. These three fires appear daily in your life, though you call them by softer names. The pain of discipline required to build something worthy. The fear of rejection when you speak truth others do not want to hear. The desire for comfort that whispers you have done enough when you have barely begun. The unforged man runs from pain, obeys fear, and serves desire. He believes he is choosing freedom, but he is only choosing which master to kneel before. The warrior who has undergone Seishin-Tanren walks directly into pain, knowing it will sharpen him. He feels fear fully and acts anyway. He acknowledges desire and then asks whether serving it serves his path. The fires still burn, but now they forge instead of consume. The samurai did not theorize about emotional mastery in comfortable halls. They built systems of deliberate hardship that forced the spirit to adapt or break. These were not metaphors. They were methods, precise and brutal, refined across generations. Misogi, cold water purification, stands as the foundation practice. Warriors would stand beneath mountain waterfalls in the depths of winter, sometimes for an hour or more, while the water hammered their shoulders and stole their breath. Morihei Ueshiba, founder of Aikido, performed misogi under the Nachi Falls throughout his training years in the early 1900s. The first minutes bring agony. Your body screams to escape. This is where the forge begins. If you run, the cold defeats you. If you remain, something shifts. The pain continues, but your relationship to it changes. You discover that suffering and surrender are not the same thing. The body can endure what the untrained mind believes impossible. This revelation, repeated across months and years, rewires your spirit. Modern neuroscience confirms what the samurai knew. Controlled exposure to acute stress increases stress resilience across all domains. The waterfall becomes a laboratory where you learn that panic is optional. Takigyo, meditation under waterfalls, extends this principle. You do not simply endure the water. You sit in seiza, spine straight, and enter meditation while the torrent crashes against your skull. Zen monks practice this at temples across Japan, including Eiheiji, founded in 1244 by Dogen Zenji. The method forces single-pointed concentration. Every distraction, the cold, the force of water, the body's rebellion, must be acknowledged and released breath by breath. You cannot think your way through takigyo. Thought dissolves under that pressure. You can only be present moment by moment until the practice ends. This trains the mind to remain centered when chaos surrounds you. The boardroom, the argument, the crisis, these are gentle compared to the waterfall. Once you have held your center there, you can hold it anywhere. Kangeiko, winter training, ran for 30 days during the coldest part of the year. Practitioners trained before dawn in unheated dojo, often in temperatures below freezing. Kendo schools still maintain this tradition. You arrive in darkness, the cold sharp enough to hurt your lungs. You train with numbed fingers, your breath visible in clouds. The practice teaches you that comfort is not required for effectiveness. The Western mind believes you must feel good to perform well. The samurai proved otherwise. They performed best when feeling was irrelevant. By training in misery, you separate capability from emotion. Your effectiveness becomes independent of your state. This is freedom. Fasting served as another forge. Warriors would abstain from food for 3, 7, or even 21 days while maintaining full training schedules. The hunger sharpens you initially, then the sharpness dulls into a strange clarity. Desire for food is among the most primal drives. When you continue to function, train, and think clearly while that desire goes unmet, you prove to yourself that you are not ruled by appetite. This translates directly to emotional resilience. If you can sit with the discomfort of hunger without reactivity, you can sit with the discomfort of fear, rejection, or uncertainty the same way. Zazen, seated meditation, provided the daily forge. The Rinzai school, formalized by Eisai in the late 1100s, prescribed hours of motionless sitting. Not comfortable sitting. Sitting until your knees scream and your back burns. Sitting through the desperate urge to move, to scratch, to shift position. The practice appears simple, but it is a crucible. Every impulse to escape becomes visible. The undisciplined mind manufactures emergencies to justify movement. The forged mind watches these impulses arise and dissolve like waves. You learn that discomfort is not danger. This single distinction changes everything. The waterfall still exists, but you will not stand beneath it today. The forge has moved. It now appears in the meeting where your idea is dismissed. In the message that never receives a reply. In the mirror that shows you what you have let yourself become. Seishin-Tanren does not belong to ancient Japan. It belongs to anyone willing to transform pressure into power. Begin with pain. Your modern life insulates you from physical discomfort so completely that you have lost your capacity to process it. The samurai trained in cold until cold became irrelevant. You can do the same. End your shower with 2 minutes of pure cold water. Not lukewarm. Cold enough to steal your breath. Your body will panic. This panic is the forge activating. Do not run. Stand under the water and breathe slowly, deliberately. Your mind will scream that this is unbearable. Your body will prove your mind is lying. Do this every morning for 30 days. You will notice something shifting. The daily frustrations that once derailed you, traffic, canceled plans, technology failures, these lose their power. You have stood in controlled discomfort by choice. Nothing the day presents will match that intensity. This is not metaphor. When you prove to your nervous system that you can remain calm in acute discomfort, it recalibrates its threat assessment across all situations. The cold shower is your waterfall. The principle remains identical. Now address fear. Fear lives in the gap between thought and action. The samurai closed this gap through immediate movement. You can do the same. Identify one action you have been avoiding because it frightens you. The conversation you need to have. The project you need to start. The boundary you need to enforce. Set a timer for 5 seconds. When it ends, move. Do not assess, plan, or prepare further. Move while the fear is present. This practice, repeated daily, rewires the relationship between fear and paralysis. You discover that action does not require the absence of fear. It requires only the refusal to let fear choose your behavior. Tsukahara Bokuden, who developed Shinto-ryu in the 1500s, taught that the warrior enters dangerous situations with deliberate slowness, but acts within them with explosive speed. The slowness demonstrates control. The speed demonstrates decisiveness. You can apply this today. Move slowly toward what you fear, then act decisively when the moment arrives. Desire requires different handling. The samurai understood that desire itself is not the enemy. Unexamined desire is. Each evening, write down what you wanted that day and did not get. The approval you sought, the outcome you expected, the ease you craved. Look at this list without judgment. Then ask a single question. Did these desires serve my path or did they own me? This practice creates space between wanting and needing. When you see your desires clearly, they lose their ability to manipulate you unconsciously. You begin to choose which desires to feed and which to starve. Taekwondo Soho taught that the mind should be like water, taking the shape of whatever contains it but never becoming attached to that shape. Your desires are containers. Fill them when useful, empty them when they bind you. The forge operates through consistency, not intensity. The samurai did not undergo misogi once and declare themselves transformed. They returned to the waterfall until the waterfall lived inside them. You must do the same with these practices. The cold shower, the immediate action, the evening examination. These seem small. They are. But small practices done daily forge the spirit more effectively than dramatic gestures done once. The question is not whether you can endure one hard thing. The question is whether you will choose hardship every day when no one watches and nothing forces you. This is where warriors are separated from those who only speak of strength. The forge does not build itself. You must construct it deliberately, feed it consistently, and enter it daily. This is not inspiration. This is architecture. The unbreakable mind emerges from unbreakable structure. Your morning determines everything. The samurai rose before dawn because darkness holds no distraction. Miyamoto Musashi wrote that the warrior must know the times, understanding that early morning when the world sleeps belongs to those who would master themselves. Your first hour shapes the next 23. Begin with cold water. Not after you ease into wakefulness, not after coffee. Immediately. The shock breaks the illusion that comfort is required for function. Then sit in stillness for 20 minutes. Not guided meditation, not music, silence and breath. Your mind will riot. Thoughts will swarm like disturbed wasps. Do not fight them. Watch them the way Taekwondo Soho described, as clouds passing across the sky of your awareness. The practice is not emptying the mind. The practice is learning that you are not your thoughts. After sitting, physical movement. Push-ups until failure, then 10 more. Hold a plank position until your body shakes, then hold for 30 more seconds. The samurai understood that the body forges the spirit. When you command your body to continue past comfort, you train your will like a muscle. This sequence, cold, stillness, exertion, takes 1 hour. It purchases your sovereignty for the day. The day itself becomes your dojo. Each difficulty is a hammer blow. The samurai called this shugyo, austere training in the midst of life. You do not need a monastery. You need only to recognize every frustration as forge work. Someone disrespects you. This is not an injury. This is an opportunity to practice non-reaction. Your project fails. This is not defeat. This is an opportunity to separate your worth from your results. You feel exhausted. This is not weakness. This is an opportunity to discover what you can accomplish when energy is absent. The shift is simple but total. Stop asking life to be easier. Start using difficulty as deliberately as the samurai used the waterfall. Yamamoto Tsunetomo wrote that the way of the samurai is found in death, meaning that true freedom comes when you stop protecting yourself from discomfort and start weaponizing it for growth. Evening brings accounting. Before sleep, sit again. Review the day without mercy or self-pity. Where did you act from fear? Where did desire drive you unconsciously? Where did you choose comfort over commitment? Write these observations, not for shame, for clarity. The samurai practiced hansei, ruthless self-reflection.